Hello and welcome to English 1101. Today I'm going to be talking about outlines, and essay structure and things of that nature. For those of you who want to follow along in Patterns for College Writing, the 14th edition textbook for this course, I'm going to be looking at page 61, constructing a formal outline. Okay. I want to tell a story first about outlines. A couple of summers ago, I was tutoring a student that was not going to this university, was going to another university, and she was taking an online English 1101 writing course, and her professor made them do an exercise and do an official formal outline, as you see in the bottom of page 61. And the frustration that she was having was, getting the little A's and the B's and the ones and twos together and putting them together in Word. And I learned something from that experience, from that teaching moment, in that she understood what an outline was. She understood how to organize her thoughts, but she didn't necessarily need to have the capability of constructing a formal outline. So the one thing that I want to stress to you is that it's not that important how you create your outline. It's important that you do. And an outline could be, if you're working a job as a waiter or waitress, and in between lunch and dinner, those rushes, you have some time and you're scribbling down notes, organizing your essay on a napkin, with a pen, or on an old receipt or something, or it's just organizing your thoughts and getting them down on paper in bullet points, or on the computer in bullet points before you start going into the writing phase. Okay, it's important that your essay have certain key features that are talked about in chapter 3 in arrangement. You need to have an introductory paragraph. You need to have a thesis statement. It needs to be clear and concise. We will get to those at length later. But in order to organize your thoughts, you have to put it down somehow. You can have it all up here and then just start writing, but you're doing yourself a huge disservice by not organizing your thoughts first and getting it down. Actually, writing can be so much easier if you create yourself a little to-do list or a little organization or an outline first, and then when you go to actually write the essay, you're not just staring at a blank screen. You have directions that you've written to yourself to follow. You are doing your future self a huge service by allowing the time to think about the assignment, and then putting it down on paper, whether it's scribbled notes, whether it's arrows pointing all over the place on a marker board, or it's bullet points in Microsoft Word, or however you do it. It's just important that you actually do an outline first. It's going to save you a lot of time. Also, I want to make mention that waiting till the last minute to write an essay is never a good idea. First of all, you haven't had time to prepare. You haven't had time to get your thoughts down in a clear and concise order to help your future self. Usually we're so busy, getting our future selves in some kind of bind, like writing an essay at the last minute just before turn-in, or waiting till that final hour to study for a test or writing a paper. But if you actually outline first, again, it's not important how it's done. It's important that you actually do it. Okay? If you look at the bottom of page 61, it has a thesis statement. As I look back at the cheating I witnessed, I wonder why I kept silent and what would have happened if I had acted. Okay, so that's the thesis statement for this essay. It's a first-person essay. So you've got an organization structure, the incident, and under the incident you've got test situation, my observation, my reactions, and my reactions also being a list of anger and silence being part of her reactions. Okay, this is just one way to do it. And then part 2 of my essay is going to be reasons for keeping silent, were other students' attitudes, my fears. Part 3 is current attitude towards cheating, effects of cheating on education, effects of cheating on students. Okay, so it's just it's a list. And so as you go through and you write your essay and you're like, what was I going to talk about next? Or you take a break and you come back to it and you're like, oh yeah, I need to finish up this paper. What was I going to talk about next? Oh yes, correct. Reasons for keeping silent. Excellent, right? So you're creating yourself like kind of a to-do list of the points you want to make in your essay, and it can help you a lot in the future, okay? So it's not important that you follow this directly. It's not important that you create the little A's and the Roman numerals and stuff like that. I'm not going to quiz you on whether or not you know how to make an official outline. It has actually become a smaller and smaller part of this book. But what I do expect is that you think about what you're going to write before you sit down to write it, and you actually take the time. What most people don't realize is that you say, I waited till the last minute to write this essay and it took me 4 hours. Okay. It could have taken you 2 hours. 1 hour of proper planning, outlining, could have been on a napkin, could have been on a notebook, could have been on your phone. You could have been talking into your phone. I want to make sure I cover this. Oh yeah, one more thing. I want to cover this. We all have, we all have a note-taking device right here. It's very simple. You just push record on the voice recorder. It's really easy. So there's a lot of ways to do it. You can save yourself a lot of time. You could have been spent an hour or half an hour planning the essay and then an hour writing it and maybe another half an hour reading it over to make sure you didn't spell anything wrong or grammar's correct and all that stuff. So instead of spending 4 hours racking your brain, sitting there at a blank screen and writing things and then deleting things, you could really save yourself a lot of time. So when it comes to outlines, I'm not going to quiz you on the proper outline. I'm not going to tell you to make a formal outline every time you write a paper, but writing an outline, and this is an example on the bottom of page 61 in patterns, is the most important thing that you can do when it comes to invention and invention with regards to writing. So I'll see you in another video in a few minutes. I'm going to talk about the assignment this week.